Hi everybody, it's Marcy and welcome to my craft room. Today I'm going to work on Dearjuliejulie September 2021 Stashbuster Junk Journal Challenge. And today I'm going to work on the letter R for round. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I've got some round circles. Mine are cut to 3 1/4 inches. I did this on my scan and cut, but if you don't have a scan and cut or something, or punches or anything, just find something round. Like here I've got a masking tape roll. So you can just circle around and then cut it out, okay? So no big deal. You don't have to have the tools that I'm using. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my circles and I'm actually going to emboss them. So I've got my little Cuttlebug here. And I've got this embossing folder that has fall leaves on it. And I'm probably off screen here. I'm just getting this put in my embossing folder. And I am going to spritz it. Maybe I ought to move this for a second. I am going to spritz it with a little bit of water, just so that the paper is less apt to crack. I'm using cardstock, and cardstock a lot of times, in order to emboss without cracking or tearing, needs a little bit of water for encouragement. Okay, so let's move this back over here, and I've got it on my plates. And again, if you don't have an embossing machine, if you have embossing folders, you can use a rolling pin. I've done that a number of times. And I always go back and forth in my Cuttlebug a number of times. I don't know why, it just is what I do. All right. Move that out of the way. And then I've got this pretty embossed paper or cardstock. Now I'm going to first move these out of the way. And I'm going to set this aside to dry. And just to save a little bit of time, I went ahead and embossed some and have let them go ahead and dry. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my acrylic paint, this time Deco Art Americana, and it's saffron yellow. Put a little bit out on my palette plate. This really does not need much paint. I'm going to wipe my paintbrush off because I want it to be damp, but not too wet. Just damp. And then I'm going to, on the sides, I'm just going to kind of tap it around to get off excess paint. And then very lightly, and I hope you can see this here. Basically, I've got it laid on its side. And I'm just very lightly going over those raised images. Now, you can also do this with your finger. For me, that does not work as well. I tend to get, I guess I get heavy fingered. And tend to get the paint in places that I don't want it. Okay, so just highlighting those, the raised embossing, just highlighting it a little bit using this saffron yellow. I actually learned about, or the idea for the round pocket, I learned from Corey Dahman. I will link her YouTube channel below. It was in her Scrapbuster idea book series, and it's really kind of cool. Okay, so now I have 2 of them. So the next thing I want to do is I want one of them, and I'm going to make mine be a side loading pocket. So mine are 3 1/4, which would be, half of that would be 1 5/8. Now, I'm probably not going to get this exact, but it doesn't matter. And then I'm just going to cut that up the middle. You can save that half for something else. And this half will go on the pocket. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my walnut stain and I'm going to distress all of my edges. And I'll speed up through this process. So I've got all my edges, and I distressed this edge as well because I want to have it be able to be seen. Now, the one other thing I want to do with this, I used a little bit of the gold spray on my box stuff, and here I've got some gold wax. This is just Craft Smart from Michaels. It's not the best. I've got some better, hopefully better wax coming, but I'm just going to put a little bit on my finger and add little bits of gold to the edges of this. I'm not going to cover the whole thing, just a little touch of gold around the edges. And I'm going to put glue around this half circle, not on the straight edge, because that will be the pocket opening. And you could turn it differently and have it be a top loading pocket. You could have it go this way and have it be a tuck. Mine will be going that direction. It's kind of funny, that actually lines up pretty well, and I did not put them down on the die plate perfectly. I wasn't trying to get them lined up, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It just happened to work out that way, and they're not perfectly aligned at all. Okay. And then I'm just going to glue this down on the very edge. Be sure my glue is sticking. Remember, this is embossed. So I might actually clamp it for a second, just so I don't have to hold it and so I get a good stick. But that is my little pocket. And then, of course, you could embellish it more, but that is my round little pocket. And just for good measure, I am going to clip this. The art glitter glue is probably already mostly dry, but it will make me feel a little better to clip it for a couple of minutes. Okay, so on to thing 2. So for my next one, I am going to... Now this one I've only thought of and have not actually done it. I've got 3 pieces of coffee dyed paper that are cut to 3 inches wide by, I don't even know. Well, they're the 8.5. That doesn't really matter. And what I want to do is I'm going to fold each of them in half. And use my bone folder to get a good crease. And I've also got a 3x6 piece of scrapbook paper. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that in half. Burnish that down. Now I'm going to take my 2.5-inch hole punch. And again, if you don't have a hole punch, I'll show you in a minute how you can do this without a hole punch. Now, I don't want my pages cut through. So this folded edge will go in. And I don't know if you can see, I've got this little bar and this little bar on my punch. And what I try to do is get my page lined up with those bars. And that leaves just a little bit of my folded edge not in the cut space. This might be too many pages. Yep, too many pages. All right, so we'll do 2 pages at a time, which is going to make it more difficult to get these realigned perfectly, but that's okay. We'll make do with what we've got. Okay, so there's those. There's the third one. And now with my piece of cardstock, I'm going to do the same thing. Folded edge at the top, leaving a little bit of space. And punch. All right. So now oh, that one's a hair shade bigger, so let's put it to the outside. Nope. Oh, that works. Okay. Then Okay, I can see right now. I'm going to need to trim around, which I should have known that. All right, now my little notebook isn't quite as round as it was, but you get the idea. Now, I want to take, because I don't want the inside to be well, I have really done a bodgy job on this. Okay, well, I will make this work. Okay, so I'm just going to go around. I'm going to ink my edges, and I'm going to ink the inside. I've got my pages inked around, and now that my notebook has lost its round, I have to figure out. So mine's going to be round-ish. Okay. There we go. All right. Now, you could do one of three things. You could either glue your pages in, or you could bind them with a pamphlet stitch. I'm actually, since this does not have, many pages in it at all, I'm actually going to run this to my sewing machine and sew my pages in. Okay, so there is my sewn little notebook. And as you can see, this is not perfect, and it's not perfectly round. I really got carried away with it, but it is a round-ish little notebook. And then on the outside of it, you could embellish it however you want to. You know, A is for apple, just something simple, whatever you wanted to do. All right, so that's number 2, is a little round notebook. Number 3, I'm going to show you this flower, and again, I learned this from Corey Dahman, and I absolutely love it. So what I've got, if I can find them, is I've got some older book pages that I had just glued onto other book page, just to give it a little more girth. And I've got my 1.5 inch hole punch, 1 inch, and 3/4 inch. So I'm going to start with my 1.5 inch, and I'm going to punch out a circle, and then I will punch out a 1 inch circle, and a 3/4 inch circle. Okay, then with my green scrapbook paper here, I'm going to make some leaves. So I'm going to take my no, not that one. I want my 1 inch, and I'm going to punch out a circle. then I'm going to put my circle, into the punch just part way, punch out, and I've got a little leaf. Then I can turn it around, do the same thing. It does get kind of hard to hold on to, but you can do it. And punch another little leaf. Okay, and then you've got this little shape left over. So now I want to ink around Okay, so I've inked around my 3 circles and my 2 leaves. So now I'm going to grab my old phone book. And I'm going to grab a brad. I can get this little bag open. Okay. Now I'm going to line up my book pages however I may want them. My book page circles. And I'm going to poke a hole. And I'm going to increase the size a little bit just to be sure my brad can get through there. And the brad will become the center of my flower. Come on, Marcy. Does that one only have 1 prong? Maybe it does. That's kind of weird. All right. Push that down, and then I will take my art glitter glue and give my leaves a little glue, kind of figure out where I want them. And glue them on. And very simply, you have a round book page flower. And you could use any kind of paper that you want to on it. I kind of like the discolored old book page to go into my fall journal. And I think this particular color green, it's not too bright. So I think that will work perfectly for my fall journal. So we've got our round flower, our round notebook, and let me pull my clips off. Our round pocket. So those are my makes for the letter R for round. So until next time, I wish you all a wonderfully happy, crafty day, and I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye.